So welcome back to another milk run, and welcome back to the channel that doesn't really know what it wants to be, but I'm working on that. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to have a tagline, something, I don't know, but I'll think about that. But this video is more about Boxster versus MGB. 1998, 1999, 986 Boxster versus a 1968 MGB Roadster, wire wheels, chrome bumpers. Now, on paper, and anybody listening, watching would say, well, that's a no-brainer. You go with the Boxster. And you would, because you can drive that in any weather apart from like heavy snow. I don't fancy driving in the snow. It's watertight, reliable, modern, and immense fun, which I'm going to find out about because I've not driven one, but I can imagine it is. Whereas the MGB is really agricultural, it's not watertight, you've got to drive it in a certain way, it smells, you can't drive it long distance. Well, you can, but it's tiring, because I've driven it a couple of hours, like a round trip of 4 hours. But when the planets are aligned and the weather's right and I've got access to it and it's running right, it's immense. It gives me immense joy. But the problem is that happens about 3 weeks in a year, whereas I could drive over 12 months. I could drive that Boxster, and my wife would drive it as well. So at the moment, if I'm out in the Gulf, my wife won't go and take the 911 out. Although I did speak to her the other day about possibly her doing a video with me of her reviewing it, completely cold. She's not had a drive in it. She's only been in it a couple of times in the 2.5 years that I've got it as a passenger, and obviously she'd be wearing a flat cap. And I've tried to get her not to swear, and so she didn't seem totally averse to it. Well, those are from the words that she was saying, but her face kind of said, really. So I'm still working on that. So we'll see. So for me, I've put the word out that I'm after a Boxster that's under £2,000. It works, it's a manual, and has an MOT. Now, the third one, which isn't totally a deal breaker, but maybe I should make it a deal breaker, is I would like it to have air conditioning, because I do know that the 986s, the earlier ones, didn't, all of them didn't come with air conditioning. It was an option. So now that I've put the word out, I feel the pressure, but it does mean that I have to sell the MG. Now, by selling the MG, I can buy it. Obviously, I'll be able to buy the Boxster. I'd be able to insure it, and it would be available to use. And I'd be able to leave it on the street, and it'd be usable. I could go long distance in it, and I could have fun in it. And I realise that I'm probably talking about the 2.5, but it doesn't matter if it's a 2.7. It doesn't matter if it's a Boxster S. I would like it to be older than 2000, or 2000 and older, because I don't want to pay the excessive road tax. So that's kind of the decision I've made, and I appreciate that I've made that decision before, where I was going to sell my MG, and I backtracked on it. Now, I could go to the market where I bought my that beep was, I didn't brake that hard, that was the car. That beep was that the car in front braked and turned, but obviously the car wasn't to know that, so the radar thing thought I was still accelerating and not braking, and it decided to brake for me. But there was actually zero chance of a collision there. Anyway, so the market where I bought my Porsche 912, I'm thinking, should I take my MG there? I won't get a lot of money for it. But I should get enough to buy the Boxster and insure it. because remember, I haven't got a job, so my financial situation is precarious, and I can't just buy a Boxster and insure it without doing those things. Oh, bumps. And I've had the MG for 23 years, and it's not massive. Has it got sentimental value? I have to really think about that, because I worked on it a little bit with my dad, and so this year my dad will have died 20 years ago, and we worked on it a little bit, and I remember him not having the confidence in me that I was putting it together, because he said it's never going to work. Whereas my mum was always like, he's going to make it work, he's going to make it work, I know he can do it. And I remember the day it fired up, my dad, he helped me out on quite a few things, but my dad was suddenly interested, and I remember him helping me fire it up, and you know, he helped me bleed the brakes and stuff like that. He wasn't very well then, but the day that it fired up, my mum went completely the other way. She went, right, you've had your fun now, get rid of it, it's only got 2 seats, what are you going to do with that? Anyway, that's a little bit of a history thing of me and the MG. So I've had it for so long, but mostly because it's just been that constant in the background. There's no, and there's always been somewhere where I can keep it. Whereas now I don't have anywhere to keep it. I will, if I get around to building a garage, but I think that the decision's made. It's got to go. But I've got a really small window to sell it, because it's now coming up to mid-August, and I can't do anything over the next week because I'm busy. But the week after that, I would have to go and get it from storage, polish it up, take it to the market, explain the fact that the DVLA made me change the registration on it, because we realized that it was registered as an MGB GT, a 1969 MGB GT, but I had a heritage certificate, which I shouldn't have got the heritage certificate, and that told me that I didn't realize that it was registered as a GT. It just came to me like that. But I had a heritage certificate in the paperwork that I got, and I looked at the heritage certificate and I went, hang on, there's a chassis tag there, and it's different to the one on the car. So I wrote to DVLA and said, oh, how can I clear up this mess? And they went, right, okay, your car is actually a 1968, and we've got to change the registration on it, and we're going to issue you with a new logbook. The new registration obviously is still period correct, so it's, instead of being an old H-reg, it's now a G-reg. The year of manufacture is 1968 instead of 69, and they issued me a new logbook that said I'm the first owner of it. So although where it gets serviced, it's been serviced there for 20 years, they've got a record of it, they know that the registration number's changed, they know it's the same car. So I've got that, I've got all the receipts. I haven't got the letter from the DVLA, but you could call up the DVLA and say, hey, this car's got this, was it that? The problem is, obviously, it doesn't follow the MOT history, which is annoying. So if I sold it, I'd have to get it MOT'd, which it should fly through. There's no rust. The only problem is it's been sat, so I might need to do better work with the brakes, even though the brakes are actually had some work done recently. So it should just fly through the MOT. So yeah. But then again, I'm quite lazy, so I might just sell it as it is. Take it from where it's in storage, straight to the market and say, can you sell this for me? Here's the info, here's the paperwork, here's everything else. Anyway, that's where I'm at. That's the current situation. I'm a little bit terrified. I still haven't started earning any kind of income anywhere. Oh, by the way, on YouTube, I'm up to 540 subscribers. So I'm hoping that's going to go up. I say that every time. and I'm on an upward trajectory because I'm doing more videos, but it's slow. So everything I read and watch tells me that the first 1,000 is the hardest, and it's after that that it goes up a little bit more. Can I say exponentially? Not exponentially, just at a higher rate. And on Instagram, I had a message from the LA Dismantler, Sarah, which was lovely. I thought, wow, amazing. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it. So please hit like, hit subscribe, and tune in for the next one. Tune in just reminds me of the old school tuning in the television. Well, I'm not that old that I actually remember that, but I do remember that when I was a kid, we did have a television that you needed to do that. And I mean, this is because when I was a kid, we had black and white television for absolutely ages. Why am I rambling on? The video's over. Actually, you have to let me know if you're still watching and listening to the nonsense at the end. But anyway, thank you for watching, and see you on the next video. Thanks.